Within ITAM, we are often asked to manage things that aren't typically part of our standard asset portfolio. We've looked in the past at SSL certificates and digital certificates as a whole. We've looked at font licensing, and today we're going to start a mini series on SIM card management and general phone contract management. This is another way in which ITAM can provide even more value to the organisation, track lifecycle management of SIMs and phone contracts, and ultimately save a bit of money on that mobile phone contract that you have within your organisation. But first things first, before we start, please don't forget to check down there. Make sure you've liked this video. Make sure you've subscribed so you do not miss any videos in 2026 or from this little SIM card optimization management mini series that we've got. We've got 3 videos. Today we're going to be looking at something called an ICCID number and why it's important for SIM card management. Exactly what the heck is that? Next week we're then going to be looking at how you can manage SIM cards using your asset management database. And then the third one in our trilogy is then going to be looking at how you can optimize your SIM cards and how ITAM can save a lot of money for your organization. So today our focus is on ICCID. What on earth is ICCID? Why is there another acronym, and why do I need to care about it from an ITAM perspective? So ICCID stands for Integrated Circuit Card Identifier, and this ultimately is the unique serial number, if you like, of a SIM card. It's typically between 19 and 20 characters long, and very much like how the IMEI number lives and dies with a mobile device, the ICCID reference lives and dies with a SIM card. This is not only on the physical SIM itself, but ICCID numbers are also on eSIMs as well. So it crosses both forms of SIM platforms that you can have, whether it's physical or virtual. This is unique. There is no other SIM that is going to have the same ICCID reference as the SIM that you currently have in your mobile devices. You can't duplicate it. It will never live again. It is one time only, one chance. That is when that ICCID gets to live. This is actually physically on the SIM card if you get a magnifying glass and have a look down, because the text is tiny. But it is actually physically on the SIM cards, 19 or 20 characters like we said. But you can also find it electronically on the SIM card itself as well. When you go into your phone, you can also find out what your ICCID is from your settings. There's a method to the madness on the 19 or 20 characters that you'll see in there, and it's broken down to represent a number of different things. The first part of it is broken down based on the issuer. So who issued that SIM card, which provider is that with? That represents the first set of characters. Next up you have country code. So each country has its own unique code, and you can identify which country that SIM was issued in and which country that whole SIM tariff belongs to. You've then got the serial number parts of the ICCID reference. Finally, a check digit reference as well, which is again is just a final validation and verification of the uniqueness of the ICCID reference. So the ICCID is almost like that SIM card's passport, right? It can prove that that SIM card exists, and it can also help you with billing and also help you with ITAM optimization, which we'll focus on in the third video of this little series. Just a reminder, and for clarity then, on mobile assets, on the differences between the numbers. So we've got the ICCID, we've got the IMEI, and we also have the phone number as well. So the ICCID is purely related to the SIM. It's the SIM's passport. It's the SIM's identity control, if you like. IMEI is related to the physical mobile device itself. Nothing to do with the SIM. It's all about that hardware. You've also obviously got a serial number on mobile devices as well, but they can be reused, whereas the IMEI cannot. And finally, of course, you've got that mobile phone number, which identifies the service and the provider given. However, phone numbers can be reused. If you no longer need a number, you can terminate it, but then the provider will reuse it again, or you may end up actually giving that number to someone who's leaving the organization if they want to keep it. So how do we actually use ICCID numbers in ITAM? And there's a number of ways in which we can use it, and it's really important actually for the asset management database as well, which we'll cover off next week. But we primarily use the ICCID references in conjunction with the mobile networks themselves to manage SIMs throughout their life cycle, to prove they exist, and to support with the billing and optimization. The carrier themselves use the ICCID reference to activate and deactivate SIMs, assign phone numbers, track billing and usage, and manage roaming and data plans. Mobile phone networks also use the ICCID when a SIM is issued, activated, deactivated, swapped, suspended, replaced, or even if a physical SIM is converted into an eSIM, which can happen in the event that your organization requires a lot of travel. Your data roaming plans typically are only related to the country of issue, but if they're roaming a lot, then eSIMs are a fantastic way not to overspend when your sales guys, your marketing team are in a different country and taking pictures of the new amazing product that you're about to launch. But again, more on that when we come to the optimization video. And remember that ICCID reference is that constant unique identifier. Even if the phone changes, if the service plan changes, if the mobile phone number itself changes, that ICCID with that SIM will remain constant and will remain the same no matter what changes are happening around it. And this tells not only the carrier but also us or anyone looking at the mobile phone contracts what that SIM is related to in terms of the data plans and financials and billing and stuff like that. So now from an ITAM standpoint, SIMs are a financial value, right? They cost money. You have to pay for a monthly subscription and you have to look at the specification almost of the SIM on the amount of data that you can use, the geographical locations you can use data in, additional roaming charges, how much it costs to ring, text, all of that good stuff. SIM cards can also be considered a service cost because it's something you've got to maintain all the time. It's also something you need to be aware of from a security standpoint. Obviously, you've got a phone number assigned to it that can get into the wrong hands. You end up with loads of spam. People have actually taken over other people's phones and, hacked banking information, all that kind of horrible, horrible stuff. So it's another thing that you need to manage from a security standpoint. And ultimately, SIM cards end up being completely forgotten about a lot of the time. The amount of organisations that we go into that focus primarily on the physical hardware itself and don't consider the ongoing fees that you're paying for your mobile phone contract, how much the SIM's costing you, what period of inactivities there's been, who's overspending because they're using way too much data. It's almost like it's a ghost thing or a consumable that it doesn't really matter. But actually, when you add it up with the amount of users and SIMs and phones you're providing, it can become quite a substantial cost. A cost that ITAM can, I was going to say should, ITAM can help in supporting managing throughout its life cycle and optimizing the cost. You can use ICCIDs to track zombie lines that have been open and never used. You can use it to track people that have left the organization that you're still paying for a phone contract for. Why? Stop it. They don't work for you anymore. Stop paying for it. You can also find SIMs that haven't been assigned either to a user or a number. Again, why? You still might be paying for it. Check it, validate it, audit it. ICCIDs also help you with lifecycle management. You can see when you activated it when you purchased that particular SIM. Also help you understand and identify the lifecycle management side of things. So when you purchased it, when you activated it, who you assigned it to, when it should be retired, as well as another one that ICCID references can help you with. It's also a really good reference for your security teams to have a look at what data is being consumed or transferred outside of your company policy. It may be that you allow your users to have a corporate phone, but then they're allowed to, use it for personal use to look at Netflix or social media or whatever. What corporate data is being put at risk there? And an ICCID reference is again another one that your security teams can look at and audit and secure. It also helps with your internal audit teams as well. When they come in and look at all of your different phone lines that you've got open, all of the SIMs, if you're not tracking it using a unique identifier like the ICCID, how are you going to be able to report back to your audit teams that that SIM card is in that phone with that user, or it's still being paid because actually that person's on gardening leave, they haven't fully left the organisation yet? If you're not tracking it, when they come and ask you about particular SIMs in an audit scenario, you've already lost because you have no clue what that ICCID is referencing, no clue what SIM you're talking about or your tariff or who's got it assigned because you're not tracking it. You may even turn around to the audit teams and go, what the heck is an ICCID? but now you're not going to because you've watched this video. So then we move on to then how ITAM can manage it, and the asset management database is an ideal place to manage these. A lot of AMDBs already have the option for the serial number and the IMEI reference, and not a lot of them have a unique field for the ICCID. However, you can create that, you can develop it, make it a custom field, or put the ICCID reference in another data heading, but make sure that everyone is aware that that's what it's for, not to overwrite it, and that it's really important. I've seen other people manage it in spreadsheets, etc., but you can actually build some of that automation around it when you're managing it within the AMDB, and you can build out the life cycle and work on the optimization. But without going into too much information, we'll have a look at that next week, so make sure you've subscribed to this channel so that you don't miss out how you can manage SIM cards and ICCID references within the asset management database. But for now, we just wanted to first of all introduce the ICCID number and data set to you before we started building out how to actually manage SIMs, because if we just went straight in, started referencing something that people don't understand, it's pointless. May as well make sure everyone's fully aware. We've already covered IMEI references in here before, and we're going to now start looking at the ICCID as we build out the best practice way for you to manage your SIMs and your phone contracts within your asset management database and within ITAM. So really hope you found it useful. As always, please don't forget to check down there. Make sure you have liked and subscribed the video so you don't miss out on this mini-series or any of the videos happening in 2026. Until next week, when we look at how you can manage your SIMs in your AMDB, happy ITAMing and happy starting to think about optimizing your SIM cards.